Commander Maya Rodriguez stood at the helm of the EFS Peacekeeper, watching the crystalline spires of the Asterian capital ship emerge from hyperspace. Even after 5 years of interstellar diplomacy, the sight of their bioorganic vessels still took her breath away. The living ships pulsed with internal light, their transparent hulls revealing the complex network of neural pathways that guided them through space. "Status report," she called out, masking her anxiety behind military precision. This mission could either cement humanity's alliance with the Asterians or plunge both civilizations into war. "Their defense grid is acknowledging our diplomatic codes," Lieutenant Park reported from his station. "They're extending a docking tendril." Maya nodded, straightening her dress uniform. The weight of Earth's future rested heavily on her shoulders. The Asterian Empire controlled access to the quantum crystals Earth desperately needed for its growing colonies. Without a trade agreement, humanity's expansion would grind to a halt. The docking procedure was seamless, the organic tendril of the Asterian vessel gently enveloping their airlock. Maya led her small delegation through the connection, marveling at how the living material adjusted its atmosphere and gravity to match Earth standards. Prince Zaran awaited them in the reception chamber, his tall frame draped in flowing robes that seemed to capture and reflect starlight. Like all Asterians, his skin had a subtle iridescence, and his eyes held the characteristic golden glow of his species. Unlike the others, he wore the intricate crown of the royal house. "Commander Rodriguez," he greeted her, his translator converting the musical tones of his language into English. "Welcome aboard the Star Weaver." Maya bowed precisely to the depth protocol demanded. "Your Highness. The United Earth Government is honored by your willingness to negotiate." She noticed his slight frown at her formal tone. The Asterians were known for their emotional expressiveness, considering human diplomatic restraint as cold and untrustworthy. It was just one of many cultural hurdles they needed to overcome. "Please," he gestured to an adjoining chamber where a feast had been prepared. "Share sustenance with us first. Surely your government's concerns can wait until we have broken bread together?" Maya hesitated. Her orders were to proceed directly to negotiations. But refusing an Asterian ritual meal would be a grave insult. "We would be honored," she replied, signaling her team to follow. The meal was proceeding smoothly until alarms suddenly blared throughout the ship. The chamber's walls pulsed red with warning lights. Zaran stood abruptly, his graceful composure shattered. "Impossible," he breathed, reading the neural feed from his ship. "The ancestral vault has been breached." Maya's diplomatic training kicked in. "How can we assist?" "Stay here," he commanded, already moving toward the door. "This is a sacred matter." Maya exchanged glances with her security chief. The vault had been mentioned in their briefings, a repository of ancient artifacts that the Asterians considered sacred. Its violation would be catastrophic for relations between their peoples. She made a split-second decision. "Your Highness," she called out. "If someone is attempting to sabotage our negotiations, this concerns Earth as well. Let us help." Zaran paused, studying her with those unsettling golden eyes. "You would involve yourself in our internal affairs?" "I would prevent anyone from driving our peoples apart," she replied firmly. Something shifted in his expression, surprise, perhaps even respect. "Come then. But know that if humans are behind this, if humans are responsible, I will help you bring them to justice myself." They raced through the living corridors of the ship, the walls themselves seeming to part to speed their passage. Maya had to admit that Zaran moved with impressive grace despite his formal robes, keeping pace easily with her military stride. The vault's massive doors stood open, the organic locks violated. Inside, display pedestals stood empty, their protective fields disabled. But it was the body on the floor that drew their attention, an Asterian guard, their iridescent skin dimmed in death. The Starweaver's heart, Zaran breathed in horror, approaching an empty central pedestal. They took it. What exactly was stolen? Maya asked, her security training taking over as she scanned the room for clues. An artifact from the days before we mastered the stars. It's said to contain. He hesitated. Knowledge that could change everything. Maya noted his careful wording. He was hiding something. But before she could press further, her security chief called out from near the body. Commander. These wounds, they were made by an Earth Fleet plasma cutter. Maya felt her heart sink as Zaran turned to her, his golden eyes now hard with anger. The delicate peace between their peoples balanced on a knife's edge, and someone was clearly trying to push it over. Your Highness, she said carefully. I give you my word, we will find who did this. Whether they're human or Asterian. Bold words, he replied coldly. But can you back them up? Maya met his gaze steadily. Watch me. The next 12 hours aboard the Starweaver tested every diplomatic skill Maya possessed. After the theft, the Asterian Royal Guard had confined the Earth delegation to luxurious but closely monitored quarters. Only Maya, as senior diplomat, was permitted to move about the ship, and only with Prince Zaran as her shadow. Your people are becoming restless, Zaran observed as they reviewed security footage in the ship's neural center. The living walls pulsed with data streams, creating an ever-shifting aurora of information around them. So are yours, Maya countered, noting the suspicious glares from passing Asterian crew members. But I'm more concerned with these gaps in your security recordings. She pointed to the timeline where the footage jumped mysteriously. Someone had accessed the ship's neural systems with high-level clearance, erasing crucial minutes around the theft. Convenient for your saboteurs, Zaran said, but Maya caught the slight tension in his voice. Too convenient, she replied, studying his reaction. This level of access, how many Asterians could override your ship's memory? Zaran's iridescent skin flickered, the equivalent of a human's flush. 12. All members of the royal house or high command. And how many knew about these negotiations in advance? You suspect our own leadership? His tone was sharp, but Maya noticed he didn't dismiss the possibility. I suspect everyone, Your Highness. Including my own people. She pulled up the specs of the weapon used on the guard. This plasma cutter bears Earth Fleet markings, but look at the energy signature. Zaran leaned closer, his shoulder nearly touching hers. Maya caught a faint scent like starflowers. It's wrong, he admitted. The resonance pattern doesn't match Earth technology. A fake, meant to implicate us. Just as the security breach implicates your people. Maya turned to face him. Someone wants these negotiations to fail. They're playing both sides. Their eyes met, and for a moment, the tension between them shifted from diplomatic to something more personal. Zaran broke contact first, his skin shimming with subtle colors Maya was learning to read as uncertainty. My father, he said quietly, believes this alliance is a mistake. That humans will eventually betray us, as the Concordat did centuries ago. And what do you believe? Before he could answer, the ship's neural network flared red. New alarms blared, not the sacred protocols of before, but battle alerts. Multiple ships emerging from hyperspace, Zaran announced, interfacing directly with the ship's senses. Bearing Concordat signatures, but... His eyes widened. The energy patterns are wrong. Maya's tactical training kicked in. Like the plasma cutter. Someone's trying to force a confrontation. She hit her comm badge. Rodriguez to Peacekeeper. Battle stations, but do not, repeat, do not, engage without my direct order. The response was garbled static. They're jamming communications, Zaran confirmed. Standard Concordat tactic. Too standard, Maya muttered. Your Highness, this is too perfect. The theft, the evidence pointing both ways, and now a convenient attack by your historical enemies? Using ships with suspicious energy signatures, he finished her thought. Like your weapons. The deck shuddered as the first shots were fired. Through the neural feed, Maya watched energy beams slice space between the vessels. Your ship's AI can confirm those energy patterns, she pressed. They'll match neither Concordat nor Earth signatures. Someone's using hybrid technology. Zaran interfaced with the ship again, his expression growing troubled. The patterns are impossible. A mixture of technologies that shouldn't work together. Unless someone had access to both Earth and Asterian research. Maya's mind raced. The Starweaver's heart, you said it contained knowledge that could change everything. What kind of knowledge? Zaran hesitated, clearly wrestling with centuries of secrecy. Another blast rocked the ship, making the decision for him. It's not just an artifact, he admitted. It's the key to understanding how my ancestors achieved quantum harmonics. The foundation of all our technology. Including your bioorganic ships, Maya realized. Combined with Earth's plasma technology. It would create weapons of unimaginable power. His golden eyes met hers. And now you know why it was so heavily guarded. And why someone wanted to steal it while Earth and Asterian representatives were conveniently gathered in one place. Maya's fingers flew over the neural interface. Check your ship's logs. Who accessed the vault's location data in the past week? The answer appeared in glowing script, and Maya watched Zaran's expression shift from disbelief to rage. My father's chief advisor, Kral. And he turned to Maya. Your Admiral Chen. Who opposed these negotiations from the start, Maya confirmed grimly. They're working together. A conspiracy spanning both our governments. Zaran's skin darkened with anger. Using our people's fear and mistrust to start a war that would benefit them both. Another blast shook the ship. Through the neural feed, Maya watched Earth and Asterian vessels maneuvering against the mysterious attackers, still hesitating to fully engage. We need proof, she said. Before those ships out there stop playing shadow games and start a real war. The evidence would be in Kral's private quarters. Zaran's expression was troubled. But accessing them without authorization would be treason? Maya finished. Only if we're wrong. Their eyes met again, and this time neither looked away. In the glow of battle alerts, human and Asterian studied each other, weighing years of ingrained suspicion against the trust they'd built in mere hours. Well, Your Highness? Maya asked softly. Are you ready to commit treason with a human? His answering smile held a fierce joy that made her heart skip. Lead the way, Commander. Breaking into the quarters of the Asterian High Advisor proved easier than Maya expected, which only confirmed their suspicions. Kral's security protocols had been deliberately weakened, creating a path that would have led investigators straight to Earth Fleet's involvement if anyone went looking. Sloppy, Maya muttered as they slipped inside. They wanted this found eventually, after the damage was done. The perfect evidence to justify war, Zaran agreed, his natural bioluminescence dimmed to near darkness. In the shadows, his tall form moved with predatory grace that reminded Maya that for all their civilization, Asterians evolved from apex hunters. The room's living walls responded to Zaran's presence, beginning to brighten. He quickly interfaced with them, keeping the illumination low. Maya activated her tactical visor, scanning for surveillance devices. Clear, she whispered. But we have maybe 10 minutes before someone notices the security loop. They split up, searching with practiced efficiency. Maya had to admire how quickly they'd learned to work together, anticipating each other's movements in the confined space. When she stumbled over an unseen obstacle, Zaran's hand caught her elbow, steadying her. The touch sent an unexpected charge through her body. Sorry, she murmured. Can't see in the dark like you can. I keep forgetting how limited human senses are, he teased, but his hand lingered longer than necessary. Maya was saved from responding by the discovery of a hidden neural interface, cunningly concealed behind a decorative panel. Here. Can you access it? Zaren's fingers danced over the living crystal. It's coded to Krau's genetic signature, but... His skin flickered with concentration. Royal override should work. The interface came alive, spilling holographic data into the air. Maya's translator worked overtime processing the Asterian script, but certain phrases jumped out immediately. Operation Shadow Fall, she read. Joint Strike Initiative, Quantum Plasma Integration, proposed casualties in the millions. Her voice hardened. They're not just planning a war. They're planning genocide. Against both our peoples, Zaren confirmed grimly. The hybrid ships out there? They're automated. No crew to witness their true nature. The perfect false flag operation. Maya downloaded the data to her secure chip. And once the fighting starts, they deploy their integrated weapons, devastating both sides. Zaren's skin darkened with rage. Then emerge as peacemakers with their new technology. A sudden noise in the corridor froze them both. Maya killed her visor as Zaren plunged the room into darkness. Footsteps approached, multiple sets, moving with purpose. The security loop, Maya breathed. They noticed. Zaren grabbed her hand, pulling her toward a concealed alcove. The living walls parted at his touch, creating a space barely large enough for two. Maya found herself pressed against him, his body radiating warmth and that intoxicating starflower scent. The door slid open. Light spilled in as guards swept the room, their weapons charged. Maya held her breath, acutely aware of Zaren's heartbeat against her cheek, faster than human normal, but steady. Clear, a voice reported. But someone accessed the systems recently. The trace is still warm. Find them, another voice commanded, Krau himself. The humans must be blamed for this intrusion. And find that fool prince. His sympathy for their kind makes him a liability now. The guards departed, but Krau remained, interfacing with his systems. Maya felt Zaren tense, knew he was fighting the urge to confront his father's advisor. She squeezed his hand in warning. Finally, Krau left. They waited 2 more minutes before emerging, both slightly flushed from the close contact. We need to move, Maya said, forcing her mind back to the mission. They'll lock down the ship soon. The evidence won't matter if we're caught, Zaren agreed. But we can't reach either of our ships now. They'll be watching. Then we go somewhere they won't expect. Maya's mind raced. The maintenance levels. Your ships are partially organic, right? They need waste recycling, energy conversion. The decomposition chambers. Zaren caught on. Yes. Few venture there, the psychic resonance is uncomfortable for my people. Psychic resonance doesn't bother humans, Maya smiled grimly. And I'm betting that's where they're keeping the Starweaver's heart. Where better to hide something you don't want psychically sensitive people to find? Zaren studied her with newfound appreciation. You continue to surprise me, Commander Rodriguez. Maya, she said impulsively. I think being trapped in a maintenance alcove together earns you first-name rights. His skin rippled with colors she was beginning to recognize as pleasure. Maya, he repeated, the name like music in his language. Shall we go crawl through my ship's digestive system together? You really know how to show a girl a good time, Your Highness. Zaren, he corrected, leading her toward a maintenance shaft. And I believe you humans have a saying, the night is still young. They made their way through the ship's less traveled passages, avoiding patrols. But they couldn't avoid seeing the battle still raging outside. Through neural interfaces and viewports, they watched Earth and Asterian ships dancing a deadly ballet with the automated attackers, each side still holding back from full engagement. We're running out of time, Maya noted as another explosion lit the stars. Someone's going to get trigger-happy soon. Then let's hope your theory about the decomposition chambers is correct. Zaran interfaced with the access panel, revealing a steep shaft descending into the ship's lower levels. After you. Maya peered into the organic tunnel, trying not to think too hard about its biological nature. Just so we're clear, this isn't a metaphor for our diplomatic relations, right? His laughter followed her into the depths. But they both knew that somewhere above them, two civilizations teetered on the brink of war. And only they could stop it. The decomposition chambers of the Starweaver were a nightmare landscape of organic machinery. Massive tubes pulsed with bioluminescent fluids, while living filters processed the ship's waste into reusable materials. The air was thick with the scent of chemical processes that Maya's brain couldn't quite categorize as either natural or artificial. Still think this was a good idea? Zaran asked as they picked their way through the pulsing maze. His skin had taken on a slight greenish tinge that Maya suspected was the Asterian equivalent of nausea. Better than facing those guards, she replied, checking her tactical visor's readings. And I'm picking up some interesting energy signatures. Quantum fluctuations that shouldn't be here. A distant explosion rocked the ship, stronger than the previous ones. Maya stumbled, and Zaran caught her against his chest. For a moment, they stayed there, his arms around her waist, her hands pressed against the smooth fabric of his robes. The battle's escalating, he said softly, but made no move to release her. We need to hurry. Maya reluctantly stepped back, trying to ignore how her skin tingled where he'd touched her. The signatures are stronger this way. They pressed deeper into the organic labyrinth. The neural interfaces here were corrupted, displaying fragmented data in sickly pulses of light. Maya's visor began picking up more anomalies, power readings that made no sense, quantum entanglement patterns that shouldn't exist. There, Zaran suddenly hissed, pulling her behind a massive processing node. Maya peered around the organic column and saw them, four figures in environmental suits, gathered around a makeshift laboratory setup. In the center, suspended in a containment field, floated a crystalline object that hurt her eyes to look at directly. The Starweaver's heart, Zaran breathed. His skin had gone almost white with anger. They're trying to decode its secrets. Maya studied the scene through her visor. Two Asterians, two humans, based on body structure. But those aren't Earth Fleet environmental suits. Mercenaries, Zaran agreed. Expendable. No connection to Kral or your admiral. They watched as one of the figures adjusted the containment field. The crystal's glow intensified, and reality itself seemed to bend around it. Maya's visor went haywire, displaying impossible readings. That's why they needed this location, she realized. The organic waste processes masked the energy signatures. No one would notice. Her words were cut off by a scream. One of the mercenaries had moved too close to the crystal. Reality warped around them, and for a horrifying moment, Maya saw their environmental suit twist inside out before they simply ceased to exist. The fools, Zaran snarled. They have no idea what they're dealing with. The heart doesn't just contain knowledge, it exists in multiple quantum states simultaneously. Without proper preparation, direct exposure. Another explosion rocked the ship, closer this time. The remaining mercenaries scrambled to stabilize their equipment as alarms blared through the chamber. Direct hit to lower engineering, a synthetic voice announced. Hull breach imminent. Emergency containment protocols engaging. Maya felt the deck shift beneath them as the living ship tried to compensate. Those automated ships aren't playing around anymore. They're trying to trigger a real war. We need to get the heart back, Zaran said. But if we approach without protection, we end up like that mercenary. Maya's mind raced. Unless, your people developed containment protocols for a reason. The royal bloodline must have some natural resistance to quantum effects. He caught her meaning immediately. The genetic markers that let us interface with our biotechnology. Yes, but you. We'll have to trust you to handle it. She met his eyes. I do, you know. Trust you. The admission hung between them, heavy with implications. Zaren's skin rippled with complex emotions she was still learning to read. Maya, he started, then stopped as another explosion hit. Warning lights flashed as the ship's living walls began to contract, sealing off damaged sections. We're out of time, Maya said. She pulled her service pistol. I'll create a distraction. Get to the heart. Wait. Zaren caught her arm, pulled her close. For a breathless moment, she thought he might kiss her. Instead, he pressed his royal signet ring into her palm. If anything happens to me, this will give you full access to the ship's systems. Get the evidence to our people. Nothing's going to happen to you, she said firmly. We're in this together. His smile was fierce and beautiful. Together then. Ready? Maya checked her weapon's charge. Try to keep up, Your Highness. She burst from cover, firing precisely aimed shots that sent the mercenaries diving for protection. In the chaos, Zaren moved with preternatural speed toward the containment field. His skin began to glow as he approached the heart, resonating with its quantum frequencies. One of the Asterian mercenaries recognized him. The prince. Stop him. Maya's next shot took out their weapon before they could fire. But the other human mercenary was better prepared, throwing something that exploded in a burst of electromagnetic energy. Maya's visor went dark. Through watering eyes, she saw Zaren reach the heart. The moment his hands touched the containment field, reality seemed to fracture. Multiple versions of him existed simultaneously, reaching for the crystal, being thrown back, succeeding, failing, all at once. Zaren, she screamed, not sure which timeline to trust. Then the ship's hull finally gave way. Emergency force fields snapped up as atmosphere vented explosively. Maya felt herself lifted off her feet, tumbling toward the breach. Her hands scrambled for purchase on the living walls. The last thing she saw before the emergency bulkheads slammed shut was Zaren, the heart clutched to his chest, reaching for her across an impossible distance. And all around them, reality began to tear itself apart. Maya woke to chaos. Emergency lighting pulsed through the sealed corridor where she'd been thrown, and her tactical visor was struggling to reboot. The ship's living walls quivered around her, responding to some massive trauma she couldn't yet comprehend. But it was the silence that terrified her. The constant background hum of the Starweaver's organic systems had gone quiet, replaced by an eerie stillness that felt fundamentally wrong. She pushed herself up, checking for injuries. Nothing serious, though every muscle protested. The royal signet ring still clutched in her palm gave her hope and access. She pressed it against the nearest neural interface. The ship's systems responded instantly, flooding her mind with data. The battle outside had stopped, not through any peaceful resolution, but because reality itself had become unstable. The Starweaver's sensors showed massive quantum distortions spreading from the decomposition chambers, warping spacetime itself. And at the center of it all. Zaren, she whispered. The bulkheads preventing her from reaching the chamber were sealed by multiple containment protocols. But with the ring's authority, she could override them. The real question was, should she? Her tactical training screamed that it was suicide. The quantum distortions would tear her apart. But her heart had other ideas. Override containment protocols, she commanded. Authorization, royal signet. The living walls resisted for a moment, their protective programming fighting against her orders. Then, slowly, they began to part. The scene beyond was like nothing in human experience. Reality had fractured into overlapping possibilities, each one bleeding into the next. She saw multiple versions of the chamber, existing simultaneously. In some, the hull breach had torn everything apart. In others, the mercenaries still fought. And in one. There. At the heart of the quantum storm, Zaran knelt with the crystal pressed to his chest. His skin blazed with impossible colors as he struggled to contain its power. Around him, space itself bent and warped. Maya, multiple versions of him spoke at once, his voice echoing strangely. "Stay back." She ignored him, pushing forward against the quantum turbulence. Little late for that. What's happening? The heart, it's destabilizing. The mercenaries' experiments weakened its containment. I'm trying to. His form shifted between possibilities. If it fully destabilizes, it'll tear both our fleets apart. Rewrite reality itself. Maya reached him, fighting through competing versions of space-time. So stabilize it. You have the genetic markers, the resistance. Not enough. His golden eyes met hers, filled with pain and something deeper. Not alone. Understanding hit her. The hybrid technology. They were trying to combine Asterian quantum science with human plasma containment. Yes, but they didn't understand. It was never about combining technologies. He reached for her with his free hand. It was about combining peoples. Maya looked at the chaos around them, human and Asterian ships frozen in conflict, automated vessels waiting to trigger apocalypse, reality itself coming undone. All because two civilizations couldn't trust each other. Well, she trusted him. She took his hand. The moment they touched, everything changed. The quantum resonance that let Asterians interface with their technology met the unique electromagnetic field of human nervous systems. Maya felt her consciousness expand, connecting with Zaran's in ways she couldn't describe. Through his eyes, she saw the quantum states as music, as color, as pure mathematics. Together, they reached for the heart. Reality shuddered. Maya felt the crystal's power try to tear her apart, but Zaran's strength flowed through their connection, anchoring her. In return, her human biology provided something the Asterians had never possessed, a natural damping field for quantum effects. The first ones, Zaran gasped. The ones who made the heart. They weren't just Asterian. They were, like us. Together. Maya saw it through their shared consciousness, the ancient civilization that had created this technology, a people who had found strength in the union of different species. Their knowledge wasn't just about quantum mechanics. It was about connection. Trust. Love. Show them, she whispered. The heart pulsed once, brilliantly, and reality snapped back into focus. But something had changed. Through their link with the ship systems, Maya and Zaran broadcast everything, the evidence of conspiracy, the truth about the automated ships, and most importantly, the heart's true message. On every vessel in both fleets, neural interfaces and computer screens came alive with proof that humanity and Asterians were always meant to work together. Hours later, Maya stood with Zaran in the Starweaver's observation dome, watching crews from both fleets cooperating to repair battle damage. The automated ships had been revealed as empty shells, their true controllers, Kral and Admiral Chen, were in custody, and diplomats from both sides were already discussing a very different kind of alliance. You know, Maya said, this isn't exactly how I expected my diplomatic mission to go. Zaran's skin rippled with amusement. No? You didn't anticipate uncovering a conspiracy, merging consciousness with an alien prince, and reshaping the future of two civilizations? Well, maybe the alien prince part. She turned to face him. The quantum resonance we created, it's still there. I can feel it. A permanent connection. His hand found hers. Like the ancestors intended. Different peoples, bringing out the best in each other. Is that a proposal, Your Highness? His smile held starlight. Would you accept if it was? Maya pretended to consider it. I don't know. Cultural differences, diplomatic implications, quantum entanglement of consciousness, sounds complicated. Life is complicated. He drew her closer. That's why it's better not to face it alone. As their lips met, Maya felt the quantum resonance between them surge. Somewhere in the ship's systems, the Starweaver's heart pulsed in harmony, its light a promise of things to come. Different but together. Just as they were always meant to be.